Our movie begins with Rose, who is injured, her face badly swollen, and unable to speak, while Agent Richard Friedman interrogates her, trying to uncover what happened. The story then flashes back to the events leading up to that moment. Rose's mother, Alma, takes her on a sailing trip with her new boyfriend, Derek, so Rose can finally meet him for the first time. Rose is clearly unhappy about spending several days on a boat with someone she doesn't even know before they reach the island where they're headed. On the morning of the trip, Rose and her mother arrive at the marina by car. Alma unloads the luggage while Rose parks the car. Rose complains about her boring receptionist job, but her mother tries to cheer her up. They eventually board the yacht, and Rose notices its name, Annalisa, as Derek helps carry the bags. Once the journey begins, Rose remains nervous and spends most of her time below deck because there's no cell service. During the trip, they celebrate Alma's birthday, and Derek gives her a marine survival tool that can also be used for self-defense. Later, they step outside to take pictures while Alma photographs them from the edge of the yacht. Suddenly, Derek changes the sail's direction, causing the boom to strike Alma and knock her into the ocean. Panicking, he tells Rose to grab some towels from inside. While she's below deck, she notices her phone but ignores it and returns with the towels. Alma reassures her that losing the phone doesn't matter because she can always buy another one. Soon, a storm approaches, forcing everyone below deck. Rose notices Derek's hand trembling uncontrollably. She struggles to sleep that night and finally wakes up the next morning. Outside, Rose sits with her mother and tells her she's the best mom in the world. She explains that she isn't angry with her anymore. They simply drifted apart because they were both always busy working. Derek joins them, and Rose asks why he carries a gun. He explains that he used to be a police officer and now works in private security. Curious, Rose asks if she can try shooting. Derek shows her how to handle the pistol, and to his surprise, she proves to be a natural, shooting with impressive accuracy. She jokes that it's because she watches a lot of action movies, but Alma becomes uncomfortable since she doesn't like being reminded of guns or violence. Later, Rose checks the GPS and realizes they're getting very close to the island. She goes back on deck, looks through the binoculars, and witnesses Derek proposing to her mother. Although surprised, she eventually joins the celebration, though she refuses to dance before heading to bed. That night, loud noises wake her up. Another boat has arrived, carrying armed men who threaten Derek, demanding that he hand over something or they'll kill him. Derek insists he has no idea what they're talking about, but the attackers assault Alma. Rose tries to rush upstairs, but her mother stops her and forces her to stay hidden. Rose grabs Derek's pistol, but before she can act, the attackers kill both Derek and Alma. Terrified, Rose hides in a cabin as one of the men enters, but before he notices her, his partners call him away after finding what they were looking for elsewhere. Before leaving, they set the yacht on fire. Rose rushes out and desperately tries to put out the flames with a fire extinguisher. That's when she discovers her mother's lifeless body and completely breaks down. She searches for any working communication device, but the laptop, radio, and every other electronic device have been destroyed in the fire. Her phone was also lost in the ocean when her mother fell overboard. She wraps her mother's body in a blanket and cries uncontrollably, realizing she has lost the only family she had. While searching the yacht for anything that might help her survive, she discovers that Derek is actually still alive, although he's badly wounded and barely able to move. He tells her there's a spare sail on board and asks her to install it. Despite the difficulty, Rose succeeds, regains control of the yacht, and even patches a hole in its hull from the outside. After getting some rest, Rose wakes the next morning when Derek calls for her. She brings the first aid kit and treats his wound before asking about the men who murdered her mother. Derek acts as if he knows them, but avoids giving a direct answer. Later, while sitting alone and mourning her mother, Rose discovers some old police belongings and finds a photograph showing Derek standing beside the very same men who attacked them. She immediately realizes he has been lying to her and was somehow connected to them all along. Furious, Rose ties Derek up and takes away his knife. However, the sail suddenly shifts, forcing her to secure it first. When she returns, Derek has disappeared. Knife in hand, she searches every corner of the yacht until he emerges from the engine room. He tells her those men are monsters and insists that the less she knows about them, the safer she'll be. He also says he needs her help to get the engine running. Together, they repeatedly try to restart the engine. Rose asks why they don't simply head back since they haven't traveled that far, but Derek explains that they have to sail with the current rather than against it. Moments later, Derek collapses unconscious once again. Rose rushes to help him, carries him to a bed below deck, and he apologizes for what happened to her mother. She leaves him there and returns to the helm to keep the yacht on course. The next morning, Derek wakes up and finds Rose asleep. They share a few lighthearted moments, but later that night, while checking their heading, he realizes they've been sailing in the wrong direction the entire time. Frustrated, he loses his temper and begins smashing everything around him. Exhausted and frightened, Rose falls asleep clutching the pistol. The following morning, she spots an island nearby and steers toward it. They launch an inflatable raft to reach shore. Rose wants to stay with her mother's body, but Derek convinces her to come with him since his injured arm makes it impossible for him to row alone. Halfway to the island, the paddle slips from Rose's hands. She tries to retrieve it but can't, and then she falls into the water herself. Terrified because she can't swim, she panics, screams for help, and begins sinking beneath the surface. Derek jumps into the water to save Rose and manages to pull her safely to shore. After she regains consciousness, he places her under the shade of the trees to protect her from the scorching sun. Once she fully wakes up, she walks over to him, and they spend some time walking together. Rose notices the tattoo on his body and asks what it means. Derek tells her it means, always ready for a fight. A little later, they spot the inflatable raft nearby and drag it onto the beach, realizing they won't be able to return to the yacht before nightfall because it would be too dark to see anything. Rose falls asleep inside the raft, but wakes up in the middle of the night and sits with Derek. He finally tells her the truth about his past. He explains that Annalisa was the name of his late wife, which is why he couldn't tell Rose the truth when she asked him about it in front of her mother. He also admits that he used to be a good police officer, but he became part of a group where the goal was to become the worst of them all. Over time, he turned into a ruthless criminal who stole money and killed people without feeling even the slightest bit of remorse. He then reveals that the captain of that group was the cruelest of them all, and the man who murdered Alma. After hearing that, Rose demands to know everything about the captain. Derek tells her the captain has an obsession with young girls. Rose immediately begins planning to kill him. Derek helps her by teaching her how to tie a secure knot. While they're talking, she notices a nearby device making a sound. Derek explains that it's a satellite distress beacon that can send an SOS signal for rescue, but he hasn't activated it because he doesn't know who would respond or what he should tell them. He then takes out Alma's wedding ring and asks Rose if she wants it. She becomes furious after realizing he removed it from her mother's hand. Derek admits he never truly knew Alma, but considered being with her a personal gain. Enraged, Rose punches him in the face, grabs the pistol, and points it at him, demanding that he activate the distress beacon. Instead, Derek reveals that he intended to kill her all along. Rose pulls the trigger, only to discover the gun is empty. Derek immediately attacks her, trying to kill her, but she manages to escape. He reloads the pistol and starts firing at her while she runs for her life. Rose spends the night hiding. By morning, Derek is still badly injured, but he continues hunting her down. She escapes until she reaches a dangerous cliff, climbs down it, and runs toward the yacht. Derek appears again and shoots her, hitting her in the leg. Moments later, he loses his balance and falls onto the beach below. Rose cautiously approaches him to see if he's dead, but he suddenly attacks her with a knife and demands that she take him back to the yacht. When she refuses, he stabs her in the side. Despite the injury, she throws a rock at him, grabs his bag, and tries to activate the distress beacon, but she can't figure out how to use it. Derek then admits that he planned to hand her over to the captain in exchange for his own life. Rose returns to the yacht, treats her wounds herself, endures the pain, and eventually falls asleep. She dreams of swimming through the ocean while trying to save her mother's body, but it's too heavy. The body slips from her hands, sinks into the deep water, and disappears forever, leaving Rose heartbroken. Later, she sets out alone in the small raft and spends a long time drifting at sea until exhaustion nearly overcomes her. Eventually, a large ship spots her and rescues her. While on board, she hears someone mention the captain's name and immediately realizes exactly where she has ended up. She sits down to eat and meets a young girl about her age, who tells her she's new to the ship. The girl is soon taken away. Rose later showers, changes into attractive clothes, puts on makeup, and heads to the captain's cabin, where she discovers that he's the same man who murdered her mother. The guards try to remove her, but the captain is captivated by her beauty and orders them to leave so they can be alone. Rose begins seducing him and then tells him the wound on her body might have been caused by poisonous coral. As he goes to get medicine to treat her, she quietly follows him, grabs a heavy metal wrench, and repeatedly strikes him in the head until he collapses in a pool of blood. At last, she has avenged her mother. She escapes the cabin while, at the same time, Roberta, the woman in charge of security, discovers that her weapon is missing and orders everyone to capture Rose immediately. Rose hides in the room of the young girl she met earlier. The girl helps her reach the engine room, where the weapons are stored, but warns her that most of the other girls are heavily drugged and won't be able to help. Rose is shocked to discover so many imprisoned girls. She retrieves her weapon from the engine room, but a man suddenly appears behind her and threatens her. She spins around and kills him before making her way back upstairs. After a lengthy gunfight, she kills the first attacker and shoots Roberta in the leg. Roberta follows her, leading to a brutal hand-to-hand fight. In the end, Rose overpowers her, strangles her to death, and takes her pistol. Meanwhile, one of the guards radios that the girl has reached the bridge. Rose waits for another guard to emerge from a hallway, but he overpowers her and knocks her down. She grabs a nearby metal bar, smashes it across his head, grabs her pistol, and shoots him dead before continuing deeper into the ship. She unlocks a room and is stunned to find dozens of imprisoned girls inside. She promises to rescue every one of them, but a guard arrives, points a gun at her, forces her to close the door, and strikes her hard across the head. Rose shouts that she isn't afraid of him. Suddenly, the young girl appears behind the guard and smashes him over the head. Rose immediately takes advantage of the distraction, kills him, and takes his gun. She tells the girl that the captain is dead, kills another guard blocking her path, and heads back to the upper deck. There, she's shocked to find Derek still alive. She asks how he managed to get there, and he explains that he eventually activated the distress beacon after fixing its battery. He tells her he was going to work everything out with the captain, and declares that she now belongs to him. Rose laughs and tells him she followed his advice and already killed the captain. Furious, Derek punches her so hard that she tumbles down the stairs. He goes to retrieve his pistol, but when he returns, she's gone. Following the trail of blood, Derek tracks her to a room below deck. The blood suddenly stops, and he notices Alma's necklace lying on the floor with her name engraved on it. At that exact moment, Rose activates a blast of superheated steam, knocking him to the ground. She lunges at him, grabs the marine survival tool he once gave her as a gift, and kills him with it. Afterward, she sits beside his body in disbelief that everything is finally over and that she has successfully avenged her mother. The young girl returns and tells Rose there's something important she needs to see. When Rose goes upstairs, she finds all the rescued girls waiting for her. She also sees that the ship is approaching the city, and she can't help but laugh with overwhelming relief and happiness. The film then returns to its opening scene, where Agent Richard Friedman listens to Rose finish telling her story. He assures her that she's finally safe and that all the girls rescued from the ship are on their way home to their families, all thanks to her courage. He also tells her that a new future is waiting for her after everything she endured. In the final scene, Rose smiles with relief and happiness, knowing she avenged her mother and rescued every captive girl. Thanks for watching. Don't forget that your opinion matters, so leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.